So I'm going to address the non-disabled elephant in the room right from the off. The people giving Bryan Cranston shit for playing a disabled role, honestly, what is wrong with you? He's an actor. He's acting. Kevin Hart plays a criminal in this one. Are you saying that he shouldn't have played a criminal because it's stopping real criminals being able to act as themselves on a film? Like, just stop this, 2019. Come on, 2018 was bad enough. Let's turn over a new leaf.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Starring amongst others, Kevin Hart, Bryan Cranston and Nicole Kidman, directed by Neil Berger off of a screenplay by John Hartsmere. This is my review for The Upside. The Upside is the story of Kevin Hart's Dell. He's down on his luck, he's a criminal trying to do the best that he can, but he's not quite shaking those old ways. He accidentally stumbles into a job interview for a job that he wasn't actually there to apply for, to be the carer for a man named Philip, or P as he calls him, played by Bryan Cranston, a quadriplegic after an accident that he had a few years prior, or I don't know how long prior it was actually, a certain amount of time before. And the two characters have to get to know each other, they obviously become friends, and they have to learn from each other as well and grow as human beings. It's a time-old story, just this time involving a quadriplegic. As I alluded to in the intro, you're never going to get me agreeing that anybody shouldn't be able to play anybody else in a film. You shouldn't, within reason, obviously. But a disabled person, you can have an able-bodied person playing a disabled person because he's acting. That's the whole thing of what acting is. Thought I was done with this in the intro, I just still want to keep going. Bryan Cranston shouldn't be called out to apologise for playing this role. It just drives me mad. And even more so after actually watching The Upside, because Bryan Cranston is amazing in this film. He is so good, like incredibly good in fact, and it shouldn't be a surprise because Bryan Cranston is one of the best actors around, I think personally. Breaking Bad, phenomenal TV show, and he's phenomenal throughout it, as are a lot of people with Breaking Bad, but he always impresses me with whatever he does. And here, maybe one of the most impressed I've been with him in quite some time, because he's playing a quadriplegic. He can only use his head. He has to keep his hands and everything else completely still for the entirety of the filming for this. And by the look of it, he did. He did a really good job. He convinced as Phil, as this rich man who's kind of lost because of what's happened to him. He's lost his wife, he's lost his arms, and like he's lost everything. His entire life has completely changed, and he finds it very hard to be upbeat about it. But yet, through Bryan Cranston's performance, there's something very endearing about the character of Philip. Even when he's throwing tantrums, he's a very likeable character. And that's probably because he's opposite Kevin Hart. Because the two of them, they sparred together incredibly well. I wasn't expecting them to be this good, particularly Kevin Hart. And now I like Kevin Hart, but he always is just, he's Kevin Hart in a film. Whenever he does a comedy, particularly ones like with The Rock or Night School recently, he just goes full Kevin Hart. But this film, he couldn't do that. He couldn't do that with The Upside. He had to show some restraint. He had to go about 70% Kevin Hart. And that's the best choice he could have made, because this is the best Kevin Hart performance I've seen in a film. Without question. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking, it's nothing incredible, but he shows enough restraint with the jokes and with the moments to make his character, Dell, feel like a believable one too, and that I think is the key for The Upside. Both the main characters here, and make no mistake, these two are the main two, and Nicole Kidman's probably next in line for sort of who gets the most to do, but yeah, these two, front and centre throughout the entire movie, and both of them utterly convince. They convince as characters, and they convince as this budding friendship. Kevin Hart's Dell, he seems like somebody who's a fish out of water. He doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's trying his best. Everything about the dynamic between the two of them, at least for me, was 100% believable. And as I say, I'm surprised by Kevin Hart. He's an actor I do like, even when he is Kevin Harted up to 10. But this one, just, yeah, really good, subtle, much more nuanced and layered performance from Kevin Hart. And I'd like to see him do more films like this, because he's very good in them, if this is any indication. Nicole Kidman's good as well. There are other characters in this film, just to clarify, it's not just these three, but they're the main ones. They're the ones I'm going to talk about. Nicole Kidman is quite a quiet character for her. She's quite reserved. But Nicole Kidman's always great. She's great here too. I don't feel her character got serviced quite as well as perhaps she could have been. It feels like she was there just to sort of serve a purpose, and when the movie wraps up, like, she does serve that purpose. It would have been nice if there was more to her, to learn more than just the little snippets that we got about this character. But I liked her. I liked all three. In fact, cast-wise, there's nobody really here that I can fault. There's nobody that I can say did anything wrong. And there's actually not a lot that I can say was wrong with The Upside at all. This is a movie that I really enjoyed, and I'd heard bad things about it, but a lot of the bad things I keep hearing about are how it's not as good as the film that it's based on, which I believe was a French movie, maybe? I'm not 100%. probably should have done my research. But why that doesn't bother me is because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the original. This is my first look at this story. And maybe if I was a fan of the other ones, I wouldn't like this one quite as much. But I'm coming into this with completely fresh eyes, not seen anything about it before. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It wasn't a movie that blew me away in any way. It wasn't one that was particularly special, but it was just very nice. Like, it was a nice film filled with nice characters, nice stories, and a kind of nice message, I think, there as well. There's a lot to The Upside. There was more to it than I thought there was going to be, but it does pretty much everything that it sets out to do admirably well. There's not any big faults with it. There's not any big issues. Pacing is, maybe that could be tightened up a little bit. It does feel like it runs slightly over long. But yeah, that's kind of where the criticism ends with this. I just had a really nice time with it. I guess you could say the plot was predictable, and it is in quite a lot of ways. It follows the kind of beats that you know a film of this sort's gonna follow. Where it kind of builds the characters up and then it tears them down, only for them to come back strong at the, it's the kind of thing that we've seen time and time again in films. So as I said, there's nothing original really about this one. It doesn't take any surprise turns. It didn't surprise me in any way at all, really, as I say, apart from Kevin Hart's performance being as good as it was. But when it came to the actual story, it doesn't really offer anything to wow you, to take you unaware. It just follows a very formulaic path, and I guess that is a problem with it. But when it's just done as nicely as it is, I was just kind of sitting there, just along for the ride, just having a nice time with it. So, yeah, could have been a little bit more original, but I'm still kind of happy with what they did with it. It's kind of really all I've got to say about The Upside. If you get a chance to check it out, do go and watch it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by it. I'm going to give The Upside an 8 out of 10, which means that my 2 reviews so far of 2019 have both been 8s. Do you know what, if every movie was an 8 this year, that'd be a consistently good year. I think I'd sacrifice the 10s for just consistent 8s. Not looking forward to the first 3 or 4 that we're going to come across. But yeah, The Upside, 8 out of 10. One I really enjoyed. Have you seen The Upside? If so, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. What's your whole thoughts on Bryan Cranston shouldn't be playing a disabled person because he's not disabled himself? What are your thoughts on that one in all seriousness? Let me know too. Do hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. More reviews on the way soon. You can follow me on Twitter at JoeJulians. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.